We're gonna give you the secrets behind training to be a first responder, and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so we gotta look at those specific tests. And the problem that I've seen is there's not a clear national governing body that says, if we are gonna be part of a local police force, these are the physical standards we need to hit. If we're gonna be part of a local firefighting department, these are the standards that we need to hit. And also, a lot of firefighters are just volunteers, so it's hard to actually test them. But if we're first responders and we want to support first responders and make their life as easy as we can because they are such a pivotal role in our society, we've got to have some type of test that they can build towards for physical fitness. And that first aspect, from what I've seen, is gonna come down to sit-ups. If these individuals can get 35 to 40 sit-ups in a minute, they should have some physical proficiency to become a first responder. Now think about this. If we have a medic, okay, so an EMT, a police officer, a firefighter, these are all first responders, and we need to make sure that they're physically fit so that they can handle the absurd amount of stress, okay, that they have on the job. The next aspect is gonna get us into push-ups. And typically what we've seen is that most tests will be between 20 and 35 push-ups as a passing scale in 1 minute. So usually what we saw is that women would be about 20 to 25, men would be about 30 to 35 in that 60-second time frame. So we understand sit-ups, push-ups. Then that takes us into the 1.5 mile run. And most passing grades on that 1.5 mile run came down to hitting that within 11 to 14 minutes, depending upon the gender and depending upon the age. So we know there's gotta be some type of aerobic capacity. We know that there has to be some upper body strength and then some core strength. Now, there is a firefighter standard known as the NFPA 1582, and this also provides some more specific tests. And I would argue that if we could use these specific tests from the NFPA 1582 for EMTs and for other firefighters and use that nationally, I think it would help as far as all things are being concerned for these first responders. So we'll go into all those tests, and then we're gonna provide you specific training that you can do so that you can go ace those tests, feel good, and make sure that you're doing a great job as a first responder. So the NFPA is going to be testing aerobic capacity, okay, 1.5 to 2 mile runs. It's also going to be testing your leg strength as you're going up steps. Okay, what can you drag? What can you pull? Remember, some firefighters don't go through these tests because they're volunteers, but if they could still have some type of physical fitness test, it's going to help them when they're dealing with all the stressful situations that they're given. The next aspect is they're also going to be testing grip strength. Grip strength is going to play a major role with firefighters, so we've got to be able to test that grip strength and even that endurance. They also tend to test mobility inside of the NFPA 1582. And then on top of that, they're going to be using the Jackson strength test, which is an endurance test based around strength of the upper body. So push-ups and even holding different curled positions with the arm flexors. So now what can we do with all of these different parameters? We have the NFPA 1582 as a guideline. We have an idea of what local police forces are looking for. This does change from local area to local area. So some police forces don't have as strict physical tests. Some have very strict physical tests. And I also want to bring up EMTs, paramedics. These individuals can be more successful at their job if there's some sense of physical test. When they can handle things physically a bit easier, then their mental cognition will be less stressed and they can actually execute their job a little bit better. So I think that we should be discussing these physical fitness tests with paramedics, with firefighters, and with the police departments in mind. So that first key aspect behind training for first responders is going to be mastering calisthenics. Every single night, if you're training for these tests, I believe you should be doing anywhere between 50 and 100 total push-ups, okay? And if you struggle with just executing 5 to 10 push-ups, look at it as, all right, let's do 10 sets of 3. Okay, so we could have bumpers set up here or some type of boxes, and I can only get 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's where I struggle. Let's just say I do 10 sets of that. I do 12 sets of that, and I do that over a period of 20 to 30 minutes. Over time, you're going to get stronger and you're gonna be able to build that up to being able to execute 30, 40, 50 push-ups all at once. Okay, so that first key aspect with the calisthenics is mastering push-ups, doing them every single night. And you're capable of doing this because the load isn't that much. The next one is going to be a jump lunge, okay? And if you think about back to the NFPA 1582, where we were talking about testing leg strength going up the steps, now we can do something like this, a simple lunge, okay? We could do 5 sets of 7 on each leg, okay? Just simple lunges here, trying to increase our unilateral strength. As we get stronger and we go through 2 or 3 weeks of preparation, let's say we do a lunge protocol 3 to 4 days a week. As you get stronger, you can do 2 sets of these step lunges, and after executing 2 sets of step lunges, we can go into jump lunges, doing 3 sets of 5 on each leg. We need to be explosive. We need to react quickly. We're under a lot of stress and we need to be athletic. So build through that lunge progression. And then finally, sit-ups tend to be one of the tests, okay? So if we're gonna do sit-ups, one thing we can do, I like doing this here, where I'll have my hands, okay? And I wanna have my chin up a little bit, hands here, and I wanna get my elbows to my knees. Here, boom, boom, boom. And a simple test here, when we're talking about calisthenics, is that you can build up, let's say 30 seconds. How many can I get in 30 seconds? Let's do 3 sets of 30 seconds. Let's do 5 sets of 30 seconds. Let's do 10 sets of 30 seconds. And then as you get better and more proficient with them, you can start to use V-ups or alternating V-ups here. Okay, so we can get very creative with these 3 aspects of calisthenics. Do the push-ups, do the lunges, do those sit-ups or the V-ups, and it's gonna help you build into better execution for your testing. Now, that second aspect is going to be running and interval training. We have to look at that 1.5 mile run. If we can do once or twice a week, build into longer runs. Start at 2 miles, work to 2.5, get to 3 miles, and over the span of 4 to 8 weeks, build up to running 5, 6, 7 miles at a time. Do that once or twice a week. And then to increase your speed, you can do interval-based training. Interval-based training could look like hill sprints on a 40-meter hill. And you do 10 sets of 40-meter sprints once a week. And then over time, you go from 10 sets to 12 sets to 14 sets. But now you're building that aerobic capacity by doing those long runs, and you're also building your speed by executing that sprint work. So combine that, try to run 3 days a week. You still have your nightly calisthenics assigned to you, and that's gonna help you prepare for those first responder tests. Okay, that third key aspect is going to be improving your leg strength. So if we can get into the gym and just squat once a week, okay, just once a week, hold yourselves accountable to get into the gym for 45 to 60 minutes, hit a back squat, hit a front squat, hit a goblet squat, something simple like that. Hit a single leg squat, okay? You can do 4, 5, 6 sets of 5 to 6 reps. And we can even help you with this inside of our app Peak Strength. You need to set that peak date. When is your test gonna be for becoming that first responder? Go into Peak Strength and establish that that's the date that you want to peak. Then the app will build out your specific program backwards from that peak date so that it helps you work through all of these specific time frames so you can get stronger, improve your endurance, and lead to better testing results. So going back to this leg-based training, at least once a week, train that leg power day, okay? Back squats, using walking lunges, using dumbbell step-ups, executing sled pushes or sled pulls. These are all fantastic leg resistance-based training exercises that will improve your strength, maintain your health, increase your joint integrity, and ultimately help you pass that physical test. Now, these next 2 aspects, we're gonna focus on grip work and we're gonna focus on mobility work. Fortunately for you guys who downloaded Peak Strength, we have a mobility bonus every single day. So when you're done doing your resistance-based training, 2 to 3 days a week, prioritize at least once a week with that leg day, you can execute your mobility workout. We wanna focus on increasing our hip integrity. We wanna focus on improving our lower back strength and improving and mobilizing our lower back and our shoulders, okay? We need to make sure that we can handle and we're flexible enough to handle these precarious positions that we might be in. Okay, we have to carry bodies. We have to carry implements that are extremely heavy under a lot of stress. I can't hammer this home enough. If we can get first responders to be in tip-top shape, their jobs become a little bit easier. They are probably the most stressful jobs on the planet, so we've got to help them get into greater physical condition. Now, we want to bring in grip work. If we can think about dragging something, pulling a hose, doing things, holding on to somebody for a long period of time. How can we improve that? We can use exercises like a forearm roller, walking hammer curls, farmer's carries, and even hanging off of monkey bars, okay? I know it sounds insane, but if we do these things once or twice a week, we can increase the strength of our brachioradialis, and that's gonna help us improve our overall grip, which will lead to better performance on the job. And one of the big factors when we're bringing this all together, if we could just look at it and say, let's do 2 to 3 days a week of resistance-based training, okay? 2 to 3 days a week. Let's do endurance-based work 2 to 3 days a week. Let's go out 2 long runs and let's do 1 interval run, 3 days a week. Right there, you've got it. Let's do calisthenics 4 to 5 days a week as we build that base strength. That's something that you could do for 30 minutes every night before bed, okay? And then ultimately, the big key factor for a lot of first responders, it comes into because they're so stressed, they're not paying attention to their nutritional intake. If we can identify what our TDEE is, our total daily energy expenditure, and try to follow that baseline or decrease our calories just a little bit while increasing our protein intake, now we can build more lean muscle mass and we can execute these tests at a higher degree. So these are all key factors, and that's stuff that we do inside of our app, Peak Strength. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, and you can download Peak Strength today. During those 7 free days of training, you can cancel at any time, but the worst thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna get 5 free workouts. And remember, freaks, at some point, you have to begin that journey to attain peak strength. Until next time, peace.